It's been a very rough start for the Houston Texans starting out the 2020 NFL season, and it's for precisely the same exact reason why we all thought it was. Trading a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL for a running back that hasn't been productive for damn near 4 years ended up blowing up in their face. Who would have knew? But there may be a shiny glimmer of hope for the Houston Texans in the form of one of the greatest wide receivers of the past decade in Antonio Brown. But with Antonio Brown comes a little bit of a steep price. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Before we get to the content, I just wanted to remind you that I am giving away a PlayStation 5 on my Twitter account. A link to that is in the description down below. On top of that, please take a moment to sack that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe, and turn my notifications on, because this is a full-time job for me, and we try our best to bring you fresh and daily NFL news and content every single day. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, if there's one player that I've always felt extremely bad for in the entire NFL, a player whose team is absolutely sabotaging, is Deshaun Watson. Because in the beginning of his career, he got off onto a red-hot start. In his rookie season, he threw 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions before inevitably tearing his ACL and having to sit out the rest of his rookie season, only to return in 2018 and light up the league and continue the pace he was on for 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and throwing over 4,000 yards with a 68% completion percentage. Unfortunately, the flip side of this for the Houston Texans was the fact that he was sacked a league high and career high 62 times in one season. Yeah, Houston Texans fans, I bet you got David Carr flashbacks as a result of that. But regardless, the Texans finished 11-5 on that season. The very next season, the Houston Texans finished 10-5. And once again, Deshaun Watson threw for 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions off of 67% completion and almost 4,000 yards. And this time he was only sacked 44 times, and I guess a huge reason why is because the Texans decided to trade for Laramie Tunsil, and that was a pretty aggressive move in of itself, but it proved to be worth it because at the end of the day, you have to protect Deshaun Watson. Well, it seems like every other year, the Texans apparently enjoy sabotaging their own quarterback or setting him up for failure or throwing more obstacles in his path, because this past season, in 2020, at least in the offseason, they opted to trade one of the top wide receivers in the NFL, DeAndre Hopkins, to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson. And the reason why this was so head-scratching is because a huge reason why Deshaun Watson was developing at the rate that he was developing is because he had a freaking huge red zone target in DeAndre Hopkins. To add insult to injury, off of 25 targets in 2 games so far for the Arizona Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins has been able to rack up 22 receptions, 219 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown so far. Now, Bill O'Brien's rationale for this move has always been the fact that he wouldn't be able to pay DeAndre Hopkins, and that in of itself isn't necessarily true either. If you get rid of Whitney Merciless, you didn't have David Johnson, and you also got rid of Will Fuller, or you found a trade partner for Will Fuller, I'm sure a long-term contract could have been done for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, all the BS Bill O'Brien is throwing at us aside, there is a brand new rumor in regards to Antonio Brown. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, this isn't necessarily a NFL channel. This is more of an Antonio Brown channel. Anytime Antonio Brown does anything, I promise you, we will report it. And the latest piece of Antonio Brown news has to do with the Houston Texans possibly being interested in bringing him in. And this makes a lot of sense because so far, Deshaun Watson has not been able to get the offense going. He's clearly a good quarterback, but he clearly doesn't have any weapons. I'm sorry, Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb and Will Fuller are just not enough to consistently move the chains and score touchdowns. Who would have thought that having a top 3 wide receiver on your offense would have helped in terms of scoring? I would have never thought. So the Texans are rumored, and that's the key word, rumored to be very interested in potentially bringing in Antonio Brown. And this is according to Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle. This was tweeted earlier today, and I didn't make a video on this because, well, I was waiting for more news to come out. And Aaron Wilson said that there's nothing imminent or developing this time with the Texans and free agent wide receiver Antonio Brown, according to team sources. Several teams continue to monitor and evaluate Antonio Brown, who's 32, a 7-time Pro Bowl selection, who is currently serving an 8-game NFL suspension. Yeah, that's the key here. It's not set in stone, and you're gonna have to wait a couple weeks before Antonio Brown is even available to play for your team. Another 6 weeks if we're being exact. But it also has to do a lot with context. If the Texans are 0-8 by week 8, I really highly doubt Antonio Brown will sign with them, even if it means that he's going to get an opportunity to play. I don't think he wants to play for a team that clearly is going nowhere. If the situation was different and the narrative was different and he could play now, then I would say this makes a lot of sense. But so far, it doesn't appear to make much sense at all. But quite possibly what's even more baffling than this is general manager and head coach extraordinaire Bill O'Brien came out and actually responded to these rumors, saying, "I would never discuss anything in that regard. Right now, we're very satisfied with what we have. You never say never to anything. I don't anticipate anything, whether that player or any other player." So it appears as though Bill O'Brien is given a smokescreen. So I don't know whether the Texans are interested in bringing in Antonio Brown or not, and frankly, it doesn't really matter because Antonio Brown's going to be out for the next 6 weeks. But regardless, it would be absolutely foolish if Bill O'Brien wasn't interested in bringing in Antonio Brown, and I believe at least the strategy should be try to win as many games as you possibly can without Antonio Brown and potentially sign him when he comes back. And I feel like if the Texans are able to eke out like maybe 2 or 3 wins, then this is a possibility. But you also have to bear in mind that there's going to be some competition to bring in Antonio Brown. You have to understand that the Seahawks are very high on Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson really likes Antonio Brown himself. And on top of that, once you even do sign AB, it's going to take some time for him to acclimate into whatever offense that you sign him in. So at the end of the day, do I think the Texans will sign him? Most probably not. It just makes too much sense for it to happen, and Bill O'Brien isn't necessarily known for making logical general manager decisions and making logical NFL transactions. But I got a tweet about this on Twitter saying, "Mike, there's Antonio Brown news that you didn't cover." So here I am covering it for you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you think the Houston Texans are going to go out and sign Antonio Brown? Do you think it makes sense for them to sign Antonio Brown? Or do you think that some other team is probably going to try to get his services? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.